Batman vs Superman figure battles, we have the DC films by DC Collectibles, the Armored Batman and Superman. This is of course based off the movie The Dawn of Justice, when the Dark Knight challenges the Man of Steel with the armored suit. So I also heard that there was meant to be the Wonder Woman as well as the Lex Luthor figure, but they were both cancelled. So now let's take a look at the boxes. So at the front we can clearly see the figure itself, and there are some interchangeable hands and some accessories. Now on the side of the box we have the photo of the two, number 1 being Armored Batman and number 2 being Superman. So on the other side we have the names, and on the back there is the photos of both of them. So let's first open the Armored Batman. So inside the figure we actually have a manual, because you can actually replace the batteries inside this figure. So you can see that on the back of the figure there is a sort of tag here where you can pull it off and replace the battery. There's also a screw there. If we just press the button above the belt, there it is. So the cape is in some soft material, although it is slightly tougher than your usual capes that you see in the SH Figure Arts or Mafex figures. Let's look at the articulation. The arms do rotate fully, and so do the hands. The shoulder pads actually go up. As you can see inside there is the bat suit. So the figure does twist a little bit, and then the legs, that actually came off very easily. Does in fact have some articulation. It can bend forwards, backwards and sideways, and the knees bend, and the foot has some sort of bend. And then for the head, it does do a spin, but again it comes off quite easily, and there's also a wire attached there. Of course that is for the light. I just check if it still works. It does. So now let's place the figure on the side and we'll have a look at the accessories. So inside the box there are 4 interchangeable hands and also the gun. And we also have a stand inside. Which I'll build now. So I've placed the figure on the stand, and this is how Batman looks overall. So in total we have 6 interchangeable hands, 2 punching ones, 2 grapple ones, and 2 to hold on to the gun. So now onto the Superman figure. Of course, since Henry Cavill was in the Man of Steel, we've seen plenty of figures of him, from Movie Masters to Multiverse to Mafex to SH Figure Arts. Now this figure was very interesting to me because simply there is a head sculpt along with the heat vision. So let's unbox this figure. There is a manual inside to show you how to put the interchangeable hands and heads and the heat vision into the eyes. So as well as the figure, we have 4 more interchangeable hands, the head sculpt and the heat vision, which you place inside the eyes. So just like the Batman, there is a stand that includes in the figure, and this allows Superman to be placed and we can do some flight poses. So let's take a closer look at the figure. I think there is some resemblance to Henry Cavill, although I think there are better ones out there. Now onto the suit, I think they did the logo pretty well, although the overall colouring of the suit could have been better and improved. The actual cape is a nice soft material, and there's also a hard band inside for you to create some shapes for his flight poses. Now onto the actual articulation of the figure, I think it's pretty well done because the head does a 360 spin, The arms can turn, stretch and bend along with the hands. I think the legs also bend pretty well, and they stretch and bend backwards. You can see that. And the foot, you can push it slightly back and slightly to the front. So now let's put him next to the armored Batman. This is obviously the scene from the movie Dawn of Justice when the two go head to head, and it made cinema history when we finally got to see Batman versus Superman. So if you haven't seen the film, I definitely recommend it. Dawn of Justice is a great movie, one of the best superhero movies in my opinion, simply because of the meaning behind the film, and it also shows the different side of Batman and Superman compared to some of the old movies. Now I think overall as a display set these look great because simply it's an iconic scene of Batman versus Superman, but I'm going to say that the Batman figure is slightly better because of the material and the colouring and of course the lights in the eyes. As for Superman, I did say that the waist was too thin and the overall colouring could have been better, and it's probably more difficult to make a face of Henry Cavill, whereas Batman, he has a mask on so you can't really tell whether it looks like Ben Affleck. And if you notice the multiverse Dawn of Justice figures, there was a armored Batman as well, and that looked pretty good, but the Superman just didn't look like Henry Cavill. So here I have the Mafex armored Batman, so I'm going to take it out of the box and compare it with the DC films. So here he is next to the Mafex armored Batman. So the DC films is on the left and the Mafex is on the right. Now both figures include an extra 4 interchangeable hands, 1 weapon and 1 stand. Now Mafex is known to do some of the best figures, especially for the movie superhero ones, so I think DC Films did a good job in making its own unique Batman here. Firstly, we can see that Mafex is smaller and the colour on the suit is much lighter, which actually might be closer to the one in the movie. But you can also say that the DC Films followed a darker colour based off his fight scene with Superman in the night. As for the articulation, you can't go too much wrong with both of these. Now the material on the Mafex is really good, but I'm going to say that the DC Films did a better job with the cape. Now Mafex one just looks very cheap and looks like a cutout of a shirt. As for who looks more like Ben Affleck, I'm going to say the DC film looks more like him. Now the DC film also has a button to light up the eyes. So overall both are great figures. Mafex is very realistic and detailed, but I think DC Films has its own advantages. So now let's take a look at the Mafex Batman and Superman from the Dawn of Justice. So here we have the Mafex Dawn of Justice Batman, and at first glance it looks very realistic and as close as it gets to the one we see in the movie. Now at the time this was probably the best Ben Affleck Batman if you're comparing it to the multiverse. Now the head sculpt is very good along with the colour tone of the suit, but I think they could have improved on the cape and his body proportions could have been a lot more bulky. The figure also includes plenty of interchangeable hands for 2 grappler guns, the grenade and a batarang. So here we have the Mafex Superman Dawn of Justice. At the time this was probably the best Henry Cavill Superman figure out there, as it was up against the likes of Multiverse and Movie Masters. Now overall this is not a bad figure, although there could be some improvements, like the skin tone should have been a lot lighter and the S on the logo should have been a lot more colour red. As for the cape, there should have been a band on the side so you can create the better flight poses. So here is the Mafex Dawn of Justice Batman and Superman side by side. So now we have the Mafex Batman and Superman from the Justice League. So with the Batman Dawn of Justice Mafex being a really good figure, they have now gone on and made the Justice League version, and to me it's just as good. So overall I think this is a really good figure. The head sculpt is quite accurate, and this time the colour on the suit is much darker, which is what we see in the movie, and the cape is in a leather type material. The figure also includes plenty of accessories. We have 2 grappler guns, the grenade and the batarangs. So again, I think at first glance the figure looks fantastic. It does resemble Henry Cavill. I think it has improved compared to the first one of the Dawn of Justice, and it's also probably better than the DC Films version. Now they've improved on the skin tone as well as the logo of the S, and the cape, I think the colour is slightly better as well. The suit is also a much darker blue compared to the Dawn of Justice Mafex Superman and the DC film Superman. I think this figure has improved dramatically compared to the Dawn of Justice Superman, so I think Mafex have done a fantastic job overall. So a really good figure here, and I think this may be the best Henry Cavill Superman out there currently. So here is the Mafex Batman and Superman Justice League figures. Now to me, the overall look, the colour tone, the actual face sculpt is better than the Mafex Dawn of Justice figures. Now for the comparison of all the Mafex Batmans and Supermans. Now the two in the middle is the Justice League ones, and the two on the side is the Dawn of Justice ones. Now all the figures are unique in itself, but also has its disadvantages. And if I had to pick one set, I'll probably choose the Justice League pair, and that means that Mafex have improved on their figures. I think the Batman from the Dawn of Justice is also very good, but I'm a little bit disappointed with the Superman on the Dawn of Justice. So now let's take a look at all the Supermans that we've seen today. Now for all the Batmans from the Mafex and DC films. Now for the DC films, if I had to pick one, I'll choose the Batman. Next we have the Mafex Dawn of Justice, and I think Batman wins again. And now for the Mafex Justice League figures, I think these are very equal. So if you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up. You can also subscribe for more videos, as my next one will be opening the SH Figuarts Justice League Batman and Superman, and be putting them side by side with these figures here. So thanks for watching, guys.